Welcome back to Occasional Randomness. I'm your host, Eric Scott, and join me, as always, my fellow co-host, somebody who makes it a habit to stay away from dangerous radiation, Jason Johnson.
So, to be honest, I'm not actually feeling that well. Hopefully, I can make it to the episode, but I did have to get up and shut that door earlier, and it's just getting to me. So,
You're a little clammy, your hair's starting to fall out.
yeah, I hope not. That's one of my few features I have left.
Tonight, we'll be continuing our rewatch of Farscape, and we'll be reviewing and discussing Season 3, Episode 15, Infinite Possibilities, Part 2, Icarus Abides. And then after that, we will cover the rest of Secret Invasion Season 1, and probably the last and only season with episodes 5 and 6. But more on that as we get there.
Yep, stay tuned.
And as always, our public service announcement, if you like what we do, please give us a like or a review wherever you listen to this fine podcast at. Or better yet, help spread the word and let people know about us so that they will join us as well. We would appreciate it as always.
Yeah, shout out to the 5 people who are listening, but spread the word.
Yeah, make it 10. Let's go. Let's double our double the audience.
Aim high.
Yeah. All right. So the second part of the two-part epic Farscape Season 3, Episode 15, Infinite Possibilities, Part 2, Icarus Abides. And since it's Part 2, we pick up right where Part 1 left off, oddly enough, where Aeryn is still pointing the gun to Scorpius John's head. He manages to knock it away and get to his feet, but she pulls out her own pulse pistol and holds him at bay for a little while as he taunts her in an attempt to get her to shoot him. That finally does work, and just as she's pulling the trigger, Jack pushes her aside, saying that the clone is dying and it wants her to shoot so that Crichton dies too. Scorpius John tells Aeryn to be more decisive next time and shoot quicker. And then the clone quote unquote dies, and Crichton is back. The real Crichton. Well, or I guess in this case, this real Crichton, not the other real Crichton that's on Moya, but anyway, more on that here in a minute. And he and Aeryn hug. Oh. Then we cut over back to Talon, where Crais is telling Stark that something is wrong and they should check the docking bay controls and airlocks. Stark tells Crais that Bay 2 recently performed atmospheric replenishment as if it had been opened, but they landed their pod in Bay 1. And of course, Raffi says that suddenly a Scarran bursts through into command, sending Crais and Stark to the ground. Back on the planet, as Crichton and Aeryn are talking, Furlow returns with more of Jack's equipment that he asked for last episode. He wants some better equipment, and they send Furlow off to search the base for it. Then Jack unlocks Crichton's wormhole information in his head and says that Crichton's mind needs time to process all the equations. Then the base comes back under attack, because Rigel is unconscious and wounded back in the gun turret, so now the Jareds have kind of a free reign now. Back on Talon, the Scarran recognizes Talon is a peacekeeper vessel and tries to get information about that from Crais. But Stark, thinking quickly, steps in and tells the Scarran how Crais stole Talon and that he's just Crais' slave. Nothing more, just a harmless little slave. He asks the Scarran to kill Crais so he can serve the Scarran instead, but the Scarran orders Crais to make the ship operational. And back on the planet, Crichton doesn't really feel if anything's been unlocked in his head, but then when Jack asks him some questions and asks for an oscillation dampener, Crichton instantly hands him something that can be modified to work that way, before realizing that there's no way he could have known that before. So that confirms that the information is slowly surfacing in his mind. Outside the base, the chariots are continuing to fire from a distance when Aeryn kills a chariot trying to get into the turret to get Rigel. Rigel tells her that he was injured by shrapnel from a mortar, so she wants to take over, but he disagrees and she's still mobile and can run around and shoot people, and he can't. But being Rigel, he asks for food to keep him going, of course.
Really, he just needed some takeout delivered.
So. Yeah, get your Uber Eats, get it right there. You're good. Aeryn Eats. Uber. Anyway, back in the base, Crichton's beginning to make sense of all the wormhole information and asks Jack what they're building. And then he asks Jack how far he's going to go to clean up the pieces, saying that would he kill him, Furlow, and Aeryn? Jack says no, Aeryn's no threat. He's not sure of Furlow yet, and he no longer doubts Crichton's intentions at all. And Jack then says he needs a quarter of an Arn to finish the device, but asks everybody to stay clear as to not be exposed to the radiation from the device. Shadowing of future events. Crichton and Aeryn go to recheck the perimeter, and Furlow brings Jack the remaining materials he wanted, and Jack says he's not yet finished the initial reaction, but when he does, there's no emergency shutdown. After 1.4 Arns, that's specific, the device will melt down and be destroyed, so Jack only has one chance, and he'll fly the module to start the wormhole weapon. So he asks Furlow to leave, but instead, she turns and shoots him. Oops. So yeah, I guess he wasn't sure of Furlow after all. And then she signals, and two chariots descend from the ceiling. I guess they were hiding up there all this time, maybe? I don't know. She tells them that she had to kill Jack because he wouldn't have cooperated with them. And then she says she wants to fly the module now, but the chariots don't quite trust her anymore since she's allowed too many of them to die by waiting too long to get all this taken care of as they're all getting blown away outside. And they're not really sure what her loyalties are at this point. Meanwhile, Crichton and Aeryn have heard that gunfire and run back to the room. Furlough says that the chariots snuck in, and although she killed them, they also got Jack. Jack reverts to his true form and dies as Crichton vows to finish the weapon. And unbeknownst to anybody else, they just send Furlough off to check on her booby traps, thinking that she's no threat whatsoever. And Aeryn tells Crichton that he has to finish the device. Back on Talon, Stark tells Crais that Talon's sensors are slowly recovering, and once they return, he can target and kill the Scarran. Crais says that it would require too much continued fire, but the Scarran returns. Stark tells him that the neural transponder is the best way to operate the ship, since there's no pilot. Crais tells Stark to get Talon to prepare two transponders, one for him and one for the Scarran. Aeryn goes back to Crichton, who is remembering the final pieces of the wormhole information, and he says that he finally knows what this weapon will do, and it could actually destroy a whole planet, not just the Scarran Dreadnought. But I guess good news, if that's any good news, is it will self-destruct after one use. Then Furlough returns, and Aeryn goes to seal a hole that Furlough found, wink wink, that she says might be how the chariots got in before. Back on Talon, the Scarran tells Stark that he wants the transponder soon, and meanwhile, Furlough asks Crichton who else has the device that he's building, and when he says nobody, she remarks how valuable it could be. Crichton says that the Scarrans have their data, so they must be destroyed, and asks her to clear a launch path for the shuttle. Aeryn goes back outside and joins Rigel, and is wondering why the chariots haven't squeezed them into a crossfire yet, since they outnumber them. And meanwhile, back in the landing bay, Crichton finds Furlough trying to drive away with the device, and she gets him at gunpoint to drop his weapon, destroys his goggles, and says that she will go meet the Dreadnought.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Exactly. So she opens the door, revealing a flare which almost blinds Crichton because her goggles were destroyed, and she drives away. Outside, Rigel and Aeryn see Furlough's escape, and Crichton running to a stranded vehicle. Aeryn puts two and two together, runs out and joins Crichton, and they follow Furlough. And on the way, Aeryn asks Crichton if he can use his new knowledge to return to Earth. When he says yes, she says that when they have finally finished their business here, they will go to Earth together. And as they're tooling about the desert there, they're also tailed by some Chariots. So Aeryn jumps out the vehicle, dropping a mine behind her to take out the Chariot. And then, of course, doesn't kill the driver, so she kills the driver when he gets out and goes for his gun. Meanwhile, Crichton's continuing the chase, managing to turn over Furlough's vehicle. They kind of stand off with their guns drawn at each other, and Furlough says that she won't leave without a weapon. Then a flare hits, and Furlough takes down Crichton, who's still blinded because he has no goggles. Back on Talon, the Scarran wants that transponder now, so Crais gets Talon to stick the Hand of Friendship, remember that, into the back of his head to hold him as Talon fires from two sides simultaneously until the Scarran finally dies. Stark does save Crais from being caught in the crossfire because Talon's just shooting everybody he can just get his hands on. Meanwhile, back on the planet, the device has been knocked off Furlough's vehicle when it rolled over, and it's been activated, and the casing is open, causing it to emit radiation at periodic intervals. Crichton says that it will be useless by the time the Dreadnought arrives, and he needs to close the casing, but to do so he risks exposure. Furlough tries to argue against it and says they both have to leave, and tries to get Crichton not to be a hero and just walk away. Crichton says he can't do that, so Furlough drives off. Crichton then carefully approaches the device and tries to time his attempt to avoid the radiation. Unfortunately, it does not work, and just before the casing is closed, he's exposed to a fatal amount of radiation. Now knowing he's to die soon, regardless of what happens, he's devastated, as well, yeah, as you probably expect.
Yeah.
No, really? Aeryn arrives, and she and Crichton return to the base. Meanwhile, Crais contacts Crichton and Aeryn, and Crichton says that they have one shot at this, and calls for Crais to pick up Rigel and get to Talon and Starburst immediately. Surprisingly, Crais refuses, and Crais asks what he can do. Crichton tells him to lure the Scarrans in line with a wormhole that he will create soon. As he's telling Crais that, when he's done, he kind of falls off the module and kisses Aeryn. She's kind of concerned, asks what's wrong, and he does kind of fess up that he was exposed to the massive dose of radiation. He couldn't stop it. So she tries to take over flying the module, but Crichton says no, she can't do it. She doesn't know what to do, and he has no time to try and talk her through it. And besides, it's only half intuition anyway, only something that he would know. Aeryn says that she loves him, and he says, I'll be back. So Crichton launches the module, and then Crais sends a message to the Dreadnought to lure it towards Talon. Aeryn, meanwhile, plants explosives all over Furlough's base to blow it to smithereens once and for all. Solar flare comes and Crichton creates a wormhole. Talon is targeted by the Scarens as Aeryn blows the base up, and then she and Rigel wait in the turret for it to get picked up when it's all over. On the module, Crichton starts his displacement engine, and Cray sends the Scarens a message of surrender and gets Talon to draw them in. As everybody watches, Crichton completes linking the wormhole with the star. The wormhole fills up with the star's energy and shoots it towards the dreadnought, completely destroying it.
Boom.
Boom. Big boom. Crace and Stark are left shocked at witnessing the sheer power of a wormhole weapon. Aeryn calls out for Crichton, and to her relief, he's still there. He was not destroyed. He said that he told her he would come back. Back on Talon, Crichton is in the final stages of radiation poisoning and is lying in bed near death. Crace enters the room and says that Talon's radiation treatment should, but Crichton cuts him off and says that he knows nothing else can be done. Crace says that his sacrifice does not go unnoticed, and Crichton tells him to find the better part of himself and take care of the others. Crace says his goodbyes and leaves. Crichton turns to Rigel and says that he cannot have his stuff. After they both laugh, Rigel says it'll be hard not to think of him, with Crichton adding that he will miss Rigel. When Rigel leaves, Crichton convulses and Stark goes to him and soothes him with his energy. As Stark removes his hand, Crichton pulls it back onto his forehead, and Stark leaves. Alone with Aeryn, Aeryn tells Crichton that she's angry, but they had good times. Crichton says that he wouldn't change it for the world and says that she made him a better person. She says that she loves him so much, and he does too. She would have gone to Earth, and he says that he is sorry that she never got to meet his real dad, and he never got to meet hers either. He says that he is sorry about a lot of things, but she says that he doesn't want him to go that way. He says that now Scorpius is gone, he's at peace, and he doesn't hurt anymore. He tells her that he did some good things and is proud of his life when he's with her. She kisses him, and then he tells her not to worry, he's never felt better, and then passes away. Aeryn, filled with emotion, gets under the covers and snuggles up next to him. The end. Alright, some trivia about this second parter. The race between the dune buggies was originally scripted as a battle between starfighters, but before that was filmed, they decided that more action should take place on the planet. Claudia Black expressed relief that Bren Browder had experience driving rally cars, apparently, as she was standing on the dune buggy while it was being driven close to 100 kilometers per hour, or like 60 miles an hour for you two countries that still use the Imperial system.
Good. I was confused there for a minute.
Lanny Tupu injured his hand while playing Crace as blind, but continued until the scene was over before having it treated. Ian Watson, the director, describes the 5 seconds where Aeryn realizes Crichton has died as the finest thing he's worked on in the show's first 3 seasons. The part of the episode where John tells Rigel he can't have his stuff is a reference all the way back to Premiere, the first episode of Farscape, and every other time that someone's left or passed away that Rigel's tried to steal their stuff.
Or ate lunch for too long.
Right. And this episode breaks the pattern established so far during most of the season of alternating between the two crews. Alright, so the exciting conclusion of our two-parter. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, so we continue the excellent streak of a multi-part episodes with this one. I really enjoyed the storyline as a whole. This kind of makes up for some of my confusion from the last one. I felt I was a lot more lost during the first half, but the second half just kind of was a great straight flow. I did have a few nitpicks, which we'll probably get to as we walk through some of the more details. But overall, this was like a really fun storyline and episode. Sad at the end, but enjoyable, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, like the first episode, it was pretty much action-packed from start to finish. Then you have your pauses between little set pieces to like kind of regroup and move the plot along, and then back to more action. So, yeah, overall, it was pretty good, as you'll hear as we talk about it.
Yeah, surprise, we like multi-parters.
Yeah. So far, it's not been a really bad multi-part episode of Farscape. All right, so I guess I might as well jump back to the beginning. So, nice fake out by Harvey. I guess he knew he was pretty much dying, so why not get Aeryn to take out both him and Crichton in the same time and be done with it? Almost worked. He almost got away with it. She did fire, but if it wasn't for Jack being there, that would have been it.
Yeah, which would have been an interesting way to do the send off too. Oops.
Yeah, right. Oh, sorry, I plugged you in the head. And then it's kind of funny how he told her next time shoot quicker.
Yeah.
But hey, at least we still have Harvey in the other, now only Crichton's head. So hey, more Harvey yet to come.
Yeah. I started kind of thinking here how interesting it would be to see the two Crichtons interact now that one has no Harvey and one does. So, you could kind of play that off as, how would that interaction be? But I guess we don't get to see that with not one but two deaths in this episode. So
yeah, alas, poor Harvey. But yeah, okay.
Oh, three deaths.
And Crichton, yeah, yeah, because we whacked Jack too, so yeah.
Yeah, there were three actors.
And I think last time I said there's like nice foreshadowing with on Talon where they said something was wrong with the docking controls or docking bay or whatever. No, there's nothing wrong at all. Just a visitor, harmless visitor, nothing to see here. Oops.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So that was kind of funny when it's like, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah, because you kind of thought like, oh, maybe there's something if he's damaged or their systems are wrong. I'm like, well, no, probably something. You're gonna have a friend here in a minute.
He was really blind.
Yeah, and I guess since that subplot was kind of not critical to the episode, let's just kind of like blow through that and get to the tragic bits here later. So I think Stark, got a little more to do than normal. He got to play act like he's still a slave and unthreatening and just a harmless, don't bother me, don't, I'm just here, don't, I'll do anything you want. And the Scaran bought it. And I guess probably since he thought Krace was the peacekeeper, which I guess he was ex-peacekeeper, so close enough. Thought that he was more of the threat. And they managed to delay things long enough for Talon to get mostly repaired, or at least good enough to get the his weapons working. Which why does Talon have weapons like in the command room? I mean, I guess it makes sense because a lot of these TV shows, they go right to the bridge, take over the bridge, and they take over the ship. So okay, let's have some weapons there in case someone tries to take over the bridge, right? So that makes sense to me in some respects, but it's just kind of funny of why they always have those in there and they always come out to shoot people and they don't. At
Well,
least this time they actually did shoot somebody.
yeah, it's a gunship, so you have to have guns on the bridge of a gunship. It's in the manual or contract or something somewhere. Either way.
Yeah,
Um,
like on the bridge, like what in the crew quarters, like in the lounge, like what?
yeah, it's one of those things that this is my kitchen gun, this is my dining room gun, this is my library gun, this is my bridge gun. It's just kind of the way it works. So I think my one thing here is, yeah, I probably haven't said this before, but Stark probably really doesn't like Krace. I'm not sure he was acting the whole time because we were introduced to him. He was a captive aboard Krace's command, and it's a good opportunity for him to be, a slave or a captive working for Krace. So I just kind of found that interesting. I was like, maybe he's really like wants to get him shot here,
Yeah, I mean, he did say, if you kill Krace, I'll just serve you. So it's like if we would follow through with it, then I
yeah,
guess, oh well.
yeah. I mean, he really could have just turned around and shot Krace right then. So
Yeah, it's like, I know all about talent. I can help you out. Okay, boom. So,
right. Okay, make me the pilot. We're good.
yeah. Here's how you fly the ship. Great. All right. Good luck. And okay, so enough of that plot line. Okay. So back to the fun bit. So I do love how they did the wormhole knowledge being unlocked in Crichton's head. Because if you think about it, that kind of really does make sense, right? It's not like the Matrix where like Neo's like, I know Kung Fu after having it downloaded into his head. Like it's just there. And when you have to use it, you can recall it, just like real life. So, good job to the writers or whoever that came up with that one.
Agreed. Although he didn't remember it like I usually have to remember things, which is where I sit there and stare at something for a half hour before I remember something I was supposed to have learned last week. So
Yeah. I had a training class on that 2 years ago. I don't remember anything about that.
yeah, hold on a second. Let me Google it.
Yeah. And then we have, I guess, the big twist of the episode where Furlough betrays everybody and tries to steal the wormhole weapon. Although I guess that's kind of what been her whole deal last episode too, trying to get her and Crichton to go off together with knowledge. I guess now the knowledge is owned by the Scarens. They just, hey, we got the actual product. Hey guys. But and of course, adding to that betrayal, not only does she shoot and kill Jack, which I didn't see coming, but she's still working with the Chariots, although she thinks she is. They, however, have a totally different opinion and don't really care for her anymore since she kind of stiffed them, so to speak, by dragging this thing out too long. And I don't know how many untold legions of Chariots died out there with Rigel blasting them all the time. So, now it's just back to what she does best, look out for herself, and still manages to completely fool Aeryn and Crichton, who just think somehow the Chariots got in on their own and killed people. I don't know.
I kind of felt bad for her overall, at least to start, because no matter what her play is, it didn't work out. She tried to do Snowball Crichton to begin with when they got there, and then they had the issue with, she got the Chariots back in, but then they don't trust her, and then, I don't know. Just no matter what her play is, she did not make out on this job. But she shot Jack, and so, after that, not so much, because that was one of my favorite characters on this show, so.
Yeah, so she's still alive and she probably escaped. So yeah, if there's a part three, or a third episode with Furlough, it's probably not gonna go so well for her next time.
Yeah. It's a side note. We need another Jack impersonating alien because I like having that guy on the show. So
Hmm. Yeah, so I guess we'll see how powerful they are or aren't if he shows back up again. I don't know. We'll see. And then later, I guess as Aaron's outside going, "Hey, how come they're not really pressing their advantage? Oh, there goes Furlough. Oh, there goes John. Okay, now I get it." And I guess the chariots outside didn't get the memo from the ones inside about not trusting Frollo anymore because they tried to help her escape, which of course led to some nice buggy chase scenes and battle scenes, which I guess must have been fun to shoot. And probably real fun for Ben because who knew he had rally car experience? I didn't know that. Which again, nice to see the actors getting to use their non-acting talents, like we saw 2 episodes ago with Tammy and Gigi, doing their gymnastics and fire twirling. That who knew, right?
yeah, I bet it was a lot more fun filming experience than green screening it. And I also agree that I think this was a better the buggies were a lot better than doing the Starfighter stuff because it made the module wormhole scenes a lot better later, right? When you get to kind of focus on just that. If we'd been in space for a long time, it would have been less, I think, dramatic to do that jump. So,
Yeah, and plus where they got the starfighters from, I guess they would have been in Furlough's base. And they just hopped in them, I guess, but they just cut all that part out. So I don't
yeah,
know. But yeah, it's like they weren't there before, so yeah, don't that would have been weird if they tossed that in there.
yeah, that was her third betrayal because originally they were like had no way to escape, right, from the uh,
Hmm.
dreadnought, and then nope, never mind. We actually got some starfighters sitting around here somewhere, so yeah, we could have left.
Yeah. Yeah, like we said, Furlough bails. So yeah, once the device gets active and it's open, well, the clock's ticking now, so that's it. She realizes, there's no profit that she can make from this, so she splits. Although she does try to warn Crichton, don't be the hero, and let's go. But of course, Crichton is the hero, so he has to stay. And unfortunately, as we learn, he had really bad timing and got the fatal dose of radiation because I guess he mistimed the pulses there, or it just changed, whatever. And then obviously you can't really hide that from Aeryn too long since he knows she wants to pilot the ship and she won't be able to. So that's a nice scene in the launch bay between them and trying to, don't go, I have to go, I can do it. No, you can't do it. We'll come back. Okay, I'll come back.
Yeah, which seemed a little dramatic for the fact that he did come back, but I get that. It does lead us to my nitpick for the episode, though, which was I wish that radiation scene had had a little bit more to it or been explained a little bit better because for such a pivotal moment, I thought it was a little unclear what was happening, on that he was getting dosed with radiation. It might have just been me, but that was when I was like, oh, that was what's supposed to have happened there after they kind of explained it later. I was a little off on that one.
Yeah, it's kind of like more like I guess he had to get it from his face. Like, there was the flash. He's kind of like, I guess the look on his face, like, oh, darn.
Yeah, I think it was more that I'd forgotten the throwaway bit about the radiation earlier, and so it didn't sink into me. I was like, I knew something had happened, but it didn't sink into me later that oh no, that's like fatal radiation level. Like that was the moment he knew he was dead, right?
Yeah, because I guess he knows what it can do, right? So he would know that it's fatal versus, oh, it's got like a little dose or something. Because now he has
Yeah.
the knowledge now. So
Now my hair's gonna fall out, but I'll be okay. Nope, not quite. So
yeah. And then after hinting at it for at least this season, maybe some of last season, we finally get to see what a wormhole weapon can actually do, or at least one case of it. I don't know if there's different uses of a weapon, a wormhole weapon. This one, at least, apparently siphons off part of the nearby star's plasma and throws it wherever you want. In this case, the Scarran Dreadnought. Although he did say it could destroy a whole planet. And yeah, I guess if you peel off part of a star, yeah, you can pretty much wipe out planets and whatever. So, all the more reason to stop Scorpius from finishing his research, which I'm sure will come up in future episodes.
it definitely added some direness to the warning about the wormhole tech, right? Because as we said, yeah, everybody kind of was like in shock and awe of just exactly what that could do. So, like you said, definitely don't want Scorpius to have that capability. So, or do we? Depending on how bad the Scarens are, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, their ships are what, like, what, 10 times bigger than a Peacekeeper command carrier or something like that, they said. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you want the big guns, right? So,
And that's about the biggest one we've seen in this universe.
yeah.
So,
Because yeah, I was thinking maybe they would be like the wormhole itself would be the weapon. Not, I mean, I guess it was because it shot the star at them, but I mean, it was more like you open a wormhole like next to the ship or under a ship, it would like draw them into it. And of course, because they don't have the shielding, they would liquefy and die, right? That's what I thought it would be. So this is much more cooler, I guess,
Yeah,
than my opinion. So.
or just the fact that you can jump and surprise, and you can't see anybody coming because they can just jump in behind you and drop bombs and jump out. I mean, wormholes have a lot of tactical, but this is like, no, we can actually like make it shoot suns at you.
Yeah. And looks much cooler on special effects.
True.
And then finally at the end we get all our touchy feels in a lot of touching vignettes with each of the characters between Crichton and everybody left on Talon. I guess Crichton and Crace kind of have seemed to, I guess, bury the hatchet, so to speak, and to kind of forgive each other. I guess we'll see if Crace really does find the better part of himself. Although I guess that's kind of a motivator. Your arch nemesis gives his life for all of you guys. It's kind of a time to self-reflect and maybe realize you've been a real a-hole and change your ways. We'll see. Yeah, we get the running joke that Crichton tells Rigel he can't have his stuff, which, as we said before, every time you look sideways, Rigel's stealing people's stuff.
Although technically now it's the other John stuff. So
That's true. Yeah, true. So it's not really his to take. It's first John's got first dibs. Whatever. And the Stark thing. I mean, I got the one part where he's healing or he's soothing Crichton. But I guess then I guess that was like his way of saying thank you or whatever, and then he left. Okay. He didn't help him cross over, but I guess maybe they did help him hang around a little bit longer so he could talk to Aeryn. Which, of course, lastly, of course, him and Aeryn alone, that's where the real emotion of all this kind of hit me, as they intended to. Even though we know there's another Crichton out there, it's not the one that has had this deep of a relationship with Aeryn. And if you think about it, like this Crichton at the end, before the radiation part, had it all. He had the knowledge of how to get home, right? He could take Aeryn with him to live happily ever after, and no Harvey in his head. So that's the trifecta right there. You got all three right there. And now we've just tossed all that in the disposal and got to start all over again, maybe, when Aeryn gets back to Moya, if she even wants to at this point, given all that happened. Like, why go through all that again with other Crichton? So, future drama.
in our discussion at the end of the last episode, we were doing our future predictions, and I think you totally called this one right, that this was going to be John trying too close to the sun. I was kind of hoping the entire time that we would end up with a merged Crichton when the crew got back together, right? Because you've got the two different experiences, as you said, and it kind of could make that back into one person. But once the knowledge was unlocked, I kind of just saw the clock ticking, because you can't have knowledge of the way to get home. Otherwise, where's the show go? Yeah, he can't, he just go home. So that definitely put a ticking clock on that character, and that we couldn't get that merged Crichton, which is kind of sad, because this was my preferred Crichton across the board. I kind of feel like the other one's kind of a jerk. So probably just the way they interact and the storylines, but I've not been happy with that crew and the way Crichton acts as I have with this one. And you definitely called it that. I was thinking about this when I've got done watching the episode for a while, that they're in for some serious issues with Aeryn, because I don't know if we've actually said how long the crews have been apart, but there's been a lot of history built up in time between this John and Aeryn, right? And now, yes, she still has another John, but he's got no memory of anything that she remembers. So, every conversation they have, he's going to have a different history than she's had with John. So anyway, very, very interesting things for them to play off of in the future.
Yeah, because if he wants to try to now bring up something or try to progress that relationship, she's like, I did all this before and you died. I'm not doing it again. So she's gonna be so standoffish. You would think, just being psychological here, that's what her reaction should be. Not like,
Well,
you're back. So it's like, yeah, well, I mean, we'll see where it goes, but I mean, and that's, to your point, yeah, I mean, if this Crichton did live, then yeah, what's the point of the rest of the show? It's like, oh, see ya, and then you can't take two Crichtons back. It's like, hey, Dad, look, it's your twin son, So
my two kids.
yeah, so that'd be really weird. So yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, imagine how many times if they do end up together, which I'm assuming that as the show progresses on, we'll get Crichton and Aeryn back together again, just the other Crichton. But how many times is she going to bring something up? Like, remember that time we did X? And be like, oh no, that was the other. That wasn't you. That was my other boyfriend. You.
Yeah, right.
just some interesting possibilities there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good way to increase the drama, which that's what you want in a sci-fi drama show. You want drama, so there you go. All right, anything else before we get into what's next?
No, I think
overall, like we said, they always do the multi-part is fantastic. This was no exception. It was amazing. 2 episodes of Farscape, one of the better ones of the season, and that's in the season where you kill off one of your major characters. So, good job topping that one by killing off another major character, but having a backup one already there. So, hey.
yeah. I mean, if you're going to kill off 3 characters in one show, which we kind of joked about earlier, 2 of them have backups. Well, there's a backup Harvey, and you still got Scorpio. So that actor's got like work coming out of his ears. He's solid. But yeah, I guess we're down to 1 John, 1 Harvey, 1 Scorpius, and no Jax.
Yeah, maybe. Although, we don't know what kind of powers he might have, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I guess his job's been done. He's not going to show up again and be like, hey, Crichton, here's some knowledge again. So, yeah. So, it's like, wait, didn't I already give you knowledge before? Wait, who are you? Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, technically, the other one has the knowledge. It's just locked.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it'll come out on its own naturally as opposed to him forcing it because he had to. So,
right.
and then the show's over because he go home. So, like we said before. So, all right. So, before we jump into the Secret Invasion, we're going to tell you what we're going to do next for Farscape. So if you don't want to listen to the Secret Invasion part after this, you can stop here after we tell you what's up next. Which is, oddly enough, after episode 15, will be episode 16 of season 3, Revenging Angel. And our usual guessing game of what does that mean, I got no clue. Other than Frollo's at the top of Aeryn's hit list. However, we just had 2 episodes with this crew, so we have to get back to the Moya crew. We're not going to have 3 episodes of the Talon crew in a row. That'd be silly.
Unless they want to go back to the same even odd schedule, in which case it wouldn't be.
Yeah. Although because that's what you want. You want people to be like, oh my God, John's dead. What's going to happen? And then they cut to the other crew where they don't know anything is going on. So to get people even more upset that, and more keep people like watching to see what's going to happen when they finally do get back together. So it's got to be something with Moya's crew, and we got at least one more episode to wait before we get back to Aeryn. Although if they want to be funny about it, they could give the Moya crew 2 episodes like they gave the Talon crew and really string things out and make people mad. But we'll see. But probably not. Probably go back to alternating. I mean, at some point now they have to get back together. I mean, the reason to be separate's done. The 2 Crichtons is over. But next time will be Moya, and probably the one after that will be Talon rejoining everybody and the fallout from that, I would think.
Yeah, because obviously you don't want to go too long with no Crichton on the second wing. So, yeah, the funny part about this is after a 2-parter, I don't remember where we left the other crew anyway. Pleasure Planet? Am I missing an episode? I can't remember. So, I guess we'll get back into the swing of things next episode. So, I got nothing either.
Yeah, I think that's where they were with the Crichton story that Pilot wasn't buying.
Yeah.
But we'll find out. All right, so that is your homework for the Farscape part next time. And stay tuned after the musical theme interlude for our recap of the last 2 episodes of Secret Invasion. All right.
I picture the Wayne's World.
Yeah,
anyway.
I could do that. That's sampleable on the internet. I can record that. But yeah, so we'll do a little recap here of the last 2 episodes of Secret Invasion, episodes 5 and 6, and then give a quick recap, and we'll discuss what we thought about both episodes. So you want to do the first one?
Yep. Let's jump ahead into episode 5, Harvest. So, following their failed attack on Ritson, the rebels start to lose faith in Gravik for not killing Fury and his perceived deception towards them. A new recruit named Beto leads a small group in mounting a mutiny, but Gravik kills them all. Yeah, remember superpowers and all that?
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. Know your enemy or whatever didn't work out. Meanwhile, Fury gets Ritson to a hospital and confronts Rava, but she reveals that she has leaked footage of Hill's death, placing Fury on a global watch list. Fury later meets with Gaia, who reveals that Gravik is looking for the Harvest. After exposing her superior Derek Weatherby as a Skrull, Falsworth locates Dr. Rosa Dalton, another disguised Skrull, and questions her about Gravik's DNA machine. Back to Rava, she shows Ritson's pictures of Gravik's Russian base, New Skrullos, to implicate Russia as Skrull sympathizers and advises a strike on the compound. Meanwhile, Gravik calls Fury, offering to call off the strike if he brings him the Harvest in person. jump to Gaia and Vera holding off a funeral for Talos, and then they fend off an attack by Gravik's men. Then we jump to Finland, where Fury leads Falsworth to a grave marked with his name, which contains the harvest. Turns out that's a collection of DNA from the superheroes who fought during the Battle of Earth, which was the fight in Avengers Endgame. Fury takes the harvest and prepares to confront Gravik.
And then we have the exciting foreshadowing finale, episode 6, Home, where Fury confronts Gravik at New Skrullos, gives him the harvest, and asks that he spare Earth and conquer other planets instead. Gravik refuses before using the harvest to empower himself and attempts to kill Fury, but only to learn that no, it's not Fury, it's a disguised Gaia instead, who also got hit or imbued with the harvest. The two of them fight, with the guy eventually killing Gravik. So much for extremists when you blow a hole through your chest. Meanwhile, Rava successfully convinces Ritson to authorize a nuclear strike on New Skrullos, but is tricked by Falsworth into arranging for Ritson's evacuation. Rava attempts to retaliate, but is killed by Fury. Ritson, realizing that he's now a Skrull, calls off the strike, allowing Gaia to free Gravik's human prisoners, such as Ross and Rhodes. Those guys aren't dead after all. And in the aftermath, Ritson issues a new bill declaring all off-world species as hostile forces, and threatens to hunt them down and kill all the remaining Skrulls on Earth, which causes, as you would expect, some unrest as civilians publicly murder various high-profile officials for fear that they might be Skrulls. Falsworth, meanwhile, meets with Gaia and proposes a partnership to protect the Skrulls against Ritson's bill. And after cautioning Ritson about said unrest that he caused, Fury asks Vara, his wife, to come to Saber with him to help negotiate a peace summit that the Kree are going to have with the Skrulls. And she agrees, and they leave Earth together.
Aww.
Happily ever after? Question? No. All right, so that's the end of Secret Invasion. Probably the only season. So what'd you think? Did they bring it home or leave more unanswered questions?
So I've probably said this before when we were talking about this, and a lot of the Marvel shows, but I just wish it was longer, especially in this one. You know, we only got 6 episodes. Obviously, we just did episodes 5 and 6, so yeah, we did 6 episodes,
and they're all no more than like 40 minutes at the max. So, I mean, they're all like half-hour-ish shows.
I mean, it was really short, and they just needed more fallout, right? We needed more drama. We needed more fallout. We needed more gravity to what's happening. This is a spy drama thriller, right? That was what they were going for with the Fury angle, and it felt more like the intro, right? I feel like I just read the prologue to a good book, and now it's like, where's the book? I didn't get the rest of it. So, yeah, just incomplete. Maybe is the word I'm looking for here. Not sure where they're going. I'm not. I don't know. I felt let down by the end. Started strong, and I felt let down by the end.
Yeah, because like by episode 5, which I liked, I mean, everything was going like, they're building up for an exciting conclusion. Fury's back in the game now. He's finally got the groove back. Looks like it's gonna be like a wild finale. And I guess they kind of only half delivered for me. And I guess we'll get into that here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, not to jump ahead, we'll definitely get more into it, but that little bit where Fury's like gearing up, right? He's hitting all the secret compartments and doing all the cool spy stuff. And it's like, okay, we're there. We're going to actually get a good payoff. And even then, though, I had in the back of my mind, like, there's one episode. There's 30 minutes left of this show. There's no way they're going to get everything wrapped up. And that's how I felt when it ended, too. So.
Yeah, because like in episode 5, it looks like Gravik's plans or lack of results of plans is finally getting his people to start questioning him, right? So they do a almost good job trying to kill him. They did ramp up the drama there. Nice fight scenes. They had him on the ropes, and I guess they had him off balance enough where he couldn't use his powers. But then, of course, he could, and then that was the end of that. So nice try, but which we knew wouldn't end him. But it was fun to have a little dissension in the ranks, so to speak.
Yeah, and we get revealed here for sure that he's not in it for the cause at all, right? Because between that and what Gaia finds when she gets to the base later, he just does not care about saving his people. It's just a revenge factor for him.
Yeah, just all about power, not about leading anything.
Nope.
Which we'll get to in a second. Yeah, and then in between that nice fight scene, we have another nice fight scene. So a lot of nice fight scenes this episode, but that's about it. With Gaia and Vara at her house or Fury's house, their house, whatever you call it, fending off Gravik's hit team. And, of course, like you do in these kind of situations, you have all kinds of guns, weapons, bombs, go bags stashed all around your house, just in case, no matter what room you're in, you can pull out a bag with all kinds of weapons and deal with whatever comes your way, which, I'm all for it, even though it's cheesy, but it's still cool.
Yeah, I mean, you need to ever know which room you're going to need a gun in. So, just like I was mentioning earlier, you got your kitchen gun, your bridge guns, your whatever. I, and while I really enjoyed seeing the fight choreography and them working together, I was a little distracted by how Gaia was that familiar with the weapons in the house and where everything would be, and how she just moved too smoothly for a place that she's supposedly not been to a lot or ever. It just felt kind of like, okay, now they're bonding, and then boom, now she knows everything about the house.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you have to give them some slack there, I guess, because look, it's a cool fight scene.
Right,
So,
and I get it. It was well done.
yeah, and then we go back to Gravik's new plan, same plan, a different plan. I don't know, to get the U.S. and Russia to destroy the world. So this time, I guess the final play is have the U.S. launch a strike on his own compound that's in Russia. Okay, and which, yeah, to your point, yeah, apparently he didn't really care about them at all because he said that he would call off the strike if he got the harvest. But I guess even if he wasn't attacked and killed by Gaia, I'm going to say that no, he wouldn't have called it off. Like he said, he doesn't care about them. All he cares about is like getting revenge against Fury and the world, and maybe whoever's left after everything blows up. Some scrolls will be left, maybe a couple humans. So yeah, okay, now I'm the Super Scroll. I can take over the world, and okay, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's a plan and it almost worked. So okay. So,
Yeah, except for again, we never actually know what his target is once he's you know killed all of his followers, right? I mean, is that his goal to take over the earth and whatever? I mean, all we end up with is getting the harvest, but we don't know anything past that. So kind of diminishes his big badness. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you can kind of argue that maybe if he kills everybody that was around him that knew what a scumbag he was, that the rest of the scrolls that survive would be like, oh, you're a savior. Okay, we will follow you if he still wants to do that. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
the end game, just yeah, it's like just revenge and power. That's pretty much all he cared about. So if he's the only one left on Earth, fine with him, I guess. And speaking of being super scrolly, we get to the harvest. Yeah, okay, so here's where I started to not like this episode too much. So you get as much of the DNA as possible from everybody that fought in Endgame, which that's a lot of superheroes, just other races that have natural different abilities than humans. And of course, the government and government labs would never do anything to misuse that. Which is not a knock on real life here in the last couple of years, but yeah, it's like, come on, messing around with viruses and DNA, it's never a good thing, people. Haven't we learned anything? But, that's how, these agencies think in these kind of shows. You have to have something on hand just in case one of your superpowered employees or a new race pops up and it goes rogue or something, so you can try to maybe whip up something that might deal with them. So, okay, fine. Government being government, I get it.
Yep. That always works out well. I do have one. We'll see a thread here of me hoping that some threads of this come back later in other places because I really want to see some outcomes that matter off of this. And I'm hoping that one of the things that we get from the harvest is, assuming there's more of it left, we'll get to that next episode here in a second. But is this how we get the Red Hulk? When they do Thunderbolts, maybe is maybe some pieces of the harvest, the Hulk strands or something like that. Because I think that'd be a cool way to make this kind of affect other Marvel properties, right?
Yeah, if you start kind of using it to make your own super soldiers, so to speak, to deal with the other super soldiers that maybe aren't your friends anymore. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they left enough wide open here that I mean anything's possible if they want to go with it.
True.
And like you said, like end of episode 5, Fury's puts on the eye patch, his overcoat, he gets his old favorite guns, like he's ready. He's now looks like old badass Nick Fury. So we're ready to go for an exciting ending. Okay.
Yeah, that this is definitely setting us up for some epic Fury stuff in episode 6, right? It's all going to be, the Nick Fury show.
Yeah. And then we have episode 6, which was an episode of Secret Invasion. Yeah. So,
All right, so that's all the time we have
yeah.
for today. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I
Okay.
will give them props though that they did fake me out with the beginning because I thought it was Fury going to hand over the harvest like he wanted, and I thought that he would have some Fury way of getting out of it and not really have radiation poisoning. But no, it was Gaia posing as Fury, which I guess was a good thing because I guess if the DNA machine would have turned on, it probably would have killed Fury, right? So okay, fine. Now you got two super powerful people, and then the rest of the episode just kind of disappointed me after that point.
Yeah, I can.
After the first 10 minutes, then that was it.
Yeah, I think as you said, that's like the peak, right? We hit that, we get some cool the cool like, oh, that we didn't see that one coming, and then the rest of it's like paint by numbers. You could see everything else that was going to happen.
Yeah, because we have now that Gaia and Gravik have the same power set. Of course, now game on. You killed my father. Prepare to die. So, and that's
Reference acknowledged.
yeah, and that was a good fight scene. It was fun to try to watch them how to figure out how to use their powers, which kind of mostly was just what color and size could their arms turn into. But anyway, it was fun to see like Gaia using Mantis's powers to put Gravik to sleep. And I guess as we talked about before, I guess Extremis is only good until it can't regenerate you, like if you have a giant hole in your chest. So that kind of was kind of a quick ending to that. Although now we are left with somebody who's single-handedly more powerful than any individual we've ever seen in the MCU, outside maybe the Watcher, maybe Kang if we ever get him again. So I don't know if they thought that through all the way. I don't know if we're ever going to see Gaia again, or she's just going to kind of quietly go off into the sunset, never to be heard of and spoken of again.
Yeah, to echo a point, I think that's going to keep coming back in this conversation. I think the big question going forward is going to be: is this really impactful? Is this show really going to do something? Is Gaia really going to be seen again? Is she going to be a major player, or is it going to be forgotten like the celestial that's in the ocean that we saw in Eternals? Right? If anybody actually watched that, but there's a celestial in the ocean. Like anyway, I don't know. I guess that's their call. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, or maybe if you want to retcon it later, it's like, oh, the scientists really didn't perfect it. It was only temporary. Okay, fine, whatever. But so there's ways out of it. But again, will you ever see her again? Yeah, probably not. And I guess keeping on the on the hate train here,
Sorry,
or
folks.
or this like, sorry, if you couldn't figure out by now, this was not a stellar ending. But at some point in either of these last two episodes, Fury, I think, tells Fallsworth or tells somebody that he won't call in the superheroes because humanity has to deal with this, or it has to deal with some things on their own. Really? The world's about to end and 8 billion people die, but yeah, let's try it ourselves without my super team I built the last 2 decades putting together to handle things just like this. Let's do it ourselves. Come on, people, we can get together. Yeah, right. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, he couldn't just come out and really say that they don't want to spend the budget on it, right? I mean, that would have not played well. So he had to go the line that he could sell.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
We'll go with
well,
that.
best I got.
Yeah, and then we had to like, what, like 5 minutes or more of the scene drawn out with fake Rhodey and the president. It's like, do what Fallsworth did. Shoot Rhodey from the start, and then, oh, he's a scroll. Oh, okay, call the thing off. Then, okay, got it. Or, shoot him in the arm, the leg, cut him so that, okay, he bleeds green. He's not really Rhodey. Oh, okay, I got it. I'll call the strike off. No, let's drag this out for 10 minutes. I mean, it's like it kind of fell apart at the end. Like they had their big battle stuff and they had like their ending. They knew what they're going to do. And like, okay, let's fill in the next 15 minutes. Like,
Which, yeah, this was probably one of the more annoying ones to me because Falsworth. If there was anything positive out of this whole series to me, it's the character of Falsworth. Right? She, my favorite part of the show is watching her interact and just the actress nailed it and I thought it was awesome. But matter of fact, side note, I've seen some stuff that talks about maybe she'll be part of putting together the British spy. I'm gonna slaughter it. I don't know if it's MI16, whatever it is in the Marvel universe, but their anti superhero group thing that, and I think I don't even know if I remembered this until just now, but she does recruit Gaia at the end, so maybe there's some potential for that to be something cool. But she was such a cool epic part of the show, and to think that she wouldn't have just shot the scroll posing as Rhodey right off the bat and solved that whole standoff just baffles me.
yeah, I mean, like she's more Fury than Fury if you look at it that way. And, she's been on her game the whole time and is has like a couple steps ahead of people.
Yeah, I mean, except for maybe the owl eye thing, she's been
Yeah.
ahead of everything this whole show. And then they just have a standoff in the hallway of a hospital that's mostly empty.
Yeah, and if they keep mining more characters into the MCU, then maybe being in Britain, they might bring in like Excalibur, which was Captain Britain and his team. So maybe they can make them work for MI6, with
Yeah,
Gaia or without Gaia, if she's still powered or not, or whatever. So I mean, there's future spin-offs they could do eventually if they want to keep going with new characters as they kind of run out of, or don't keep recasting characters as they get older in real life versus the comic books that they never age in 50 years. But
yeah. Excalibur was exactly what I was looking for there. Thank you.
Hmm. But there were some good things in this episode. I mean, we talked about the first couple scenes; they were good. But at the end, we do. It's not quite the ending I was hoping for, but we do learn that the Kree and the Skrulls are going to a peace summit. So okay, that's something nice. Fury does invite his wife to go with him, and they can live happily ever after. He likes her for who she really is, not just who she looks like. So okay, he's making progress. Everybody's Fury's getting his sensitive side. He's getting in touch with his feelings now. Okay, that's fine. We get that. That's fine. But then we're kind of left with a mess. The president now says that all aliens, like not just the Skrulls, but all aliens are a threat, and they're coming for them. Really? So you're going to go also against the Asgardians living in Norway? I don't think the one of the ones on your premier superhero team would like that as much either. So that's not a really good thing. We got vigilantes running around killing anybody they think might be a Skrull. They got what I think at least one, the news talky guy, and then I guess they did kill the British Prime Minister who was a Skrull, but then got released from being trapped underneath the thing, and her brain sucked out, and then she comes back and then she gets killed. Oops, sorry. So so we just kind of left the world in another mess, like a whole worldwide mess. You know, we just how many years we got over trying to heal from the snap where half the world in the universe died, but yeah, let's just toss the world back in turmoil again. So, not the ending I hoped for, but I mean, as you said before, like these TV shows aren't really resolving anything. They're just setting up future shows or future movies. And that's kind of what this seemed to do if they go forward with it somewhere. I'm not sure where, because it doesn't look like the Marvels is going to touch on this probably. So I don't know where they're going to, if they bring this back up again, where. But that's what they seem to be trying to do.
Yeah, the only takeaway I can think from that is as far as what's next is the feeding into maybe the next Captain America movie with Sam. It's not New World Order anymore, is it? They
Is
changed
it
the name to
Brave New World? Is
Brave
that
New
what
World.
I think?
Yeah, that's what I would call this current status, right? Brave New World. That's what we.
Or no,
I
it
don't
is
know.
New World. It is New World Order, isn't it?
They renamed it. I can't remember which was which.
Did
Um,
they? Okay.
but I think that's like you said, that's the actual overall problem with this show is where are they going? I was kind of thinking about it, and I think this would have been a great storyline maybe if this was the first thing that we had after Endgame, right? So we come straight off of Endgame, and this sets up an entire storyline around the Skrull scare, and you never know who's really a Skrull, right? You've got the Rhodey thing, right? Like we still don't know when he was taken. Was he taken after Civil War? Was he taken after Endgame? What if Rhodey was a Skrull for like the last several movies? That really could dishevel things and really move things around. But instead, they put all their focus on Kang, and so this feels like kind of we're still in the middle of this big Kang storyline as the big bad of the Marvel universe. But here's a one-off toss away storyline, right? Just to kind of throw something off to the side. Look over here.
It is Brave New World. I just looked it up. So, but yeah, I mean that makes sense of where they could put this because now you have the fallout. You have your new world of we hate the aliens and we want to kill all of them, and Captain America being Captain America is like, hey, everybody, we're better than this. Let's go, So, but then again, you only have a 2-hour movie to do that, so I don't know. We'll see
Yeah,
where
I
that.
mean, this could have been an entire phase, is I guess what I'm saying, as opposed to like the middle of another phase that's got a bigger bad, a more multiverse bad.
Yep, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Hey, it's a Farscape
Hmm.
episode title. Anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, so I guess it's kind of up there with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of show, whereas parts of it were good, parts of it were like, why? And I guess we'll see where they go next. So,
Yeah, I would say that a lot of this show's long term how I feel about it's going to determine what gets used. I think that's the problem. I don't feel like I have enough information to rank it, because if it's a one-off and nothing happens, then eh. If it feeds into a whole big thing and it works, then cool.
Yeah, because if they haven't shot or filmed or finished writing the next Captain America movie, then maybe if this doesn't get all the attention they wanted, they'd be like, no one cares about the storyline. Let's just forget this ever happened. And so
Yeah.
who knows? We shall see. All right, so that is the end of I was gonna say end of Endgame, the end of Secret Invasion. So not much new coming up as we record this to talk about next. Although it looks like the next Ahsoka or the next Star Wars thing, Ahsoka, comes out in a couple weeks as we record this. So gonna guess it'll just be Farscape only next time. But the one after that we'll probably be covering the first couple episodes of Ahsoka, at least the first two, because they're gonna drop the first two that first week. So it could either be two or maybe even three. I don't know. We'll see. But I think that's what will be coming up pretty soon.
Yeah. So I need to go start my Rebels rewatch now. Got it.
Yeah, because some people are calling Ahsoka Rebels season 5. So, because like pretty much all the cast, or at least most of the cast of Rebels, is gonna be live action in Ahsoka.
Right.
So that should be quite fun to see how they cast them and what they look like and how they work and how they act. So it'll be fun. I hope, because Star Wars is usually fun. So we'll see.
Agreed.
All right, so be on the lookout for that soon. Check the show notes, check the websites, check your downloads, and it'll be out there eventually. So on that note, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.